Ian's a little bit quieter than you are, so I'm going to have to turn the volume down a little bit.
I'll shout.
Yeah, you can shout, and Jason needs to whisper.
Yeah, it's just on the automatic. It's just on the automatic setting.
But for me, it's just normal.
Okay, that's fine.
So for the recording,
Well, as normal as I get anyway.
yeah, that's right.
We're a bit early tonight. We're too early for the Windows Mobile build.
Yeah, but we know it's coming.
Yes. Green's gone very quiet now.
That was just me. What's wrong?
Oh. After last week's show when I said I wasn't going to upgrade my Surface Pro 3, what did I do the next day?
We talk about
You have to live life on the edge.
Yeah, absolutely.
The edge.
Right. So Edge, let's use Edge and send this link out. So we use TweetM link, and that's crashed.
Of course it has.
Yes. Resuming from sleep and hibernate's not Windows strong point.
No, definitely not. Although actually 105.65 is much better. But I was actually early tonight. I think I was online about 8:45, so I thought I'll just reboot my Surface to make sure things are all fresh and ready. And it took about 10 minutes to reboot.
Okay, live stream's on. So Jason and Gary, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. So I was just taking a drink of Peroni there.
Oh, it started already.
Absolutely. It's I have to celebrate a new Windows 10 mobile build when it arrives in about an hour or so.
Yeah.
Well,
Did you vote?
I tried.
Did the poll crash?
Yes. I think a few of us have suggested to Gabe that they just need to add a poll facility into the Windows Insider app.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I like that.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, they've done it a few times now.
So shall we explain what we're talking about here?
Yes, because yes, we should. So last week when we talked, we just received a desktop build.
Yes.
And then since recording, we've had a mobile build. And as we record start Tuesday evening, we're on the verge of another mobile build.
Yes. I'm still waiting for the time when Gabe Ball says we've got a build. There's a few issues with it. Would you like it? And all the insiders go, no, thank you.
Or we've got a build. There's no issues with it, and we don't have to vote on it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of eagerly waiting the blog post to go along with it, see what the issues are, because I'm sure there'll be a few. But for now, the biggest issue I think is, and the reason why Gabe offered people's opportunity to vote on it, is that unfortunately this one also has an upgrade blocking bug. So I think once again the Microsoft's Windows Phone 8.1 servers are going to get hammered.
Yeah, so I'm just catching up on this because I just sort of find my Surface up a couple of minutes before I come up to record. So this build that they've offered today, that's going to be released today on Tuesday, has got the same issue as the previous one where you couldn't update from a Windows 10 mobile build.
Yeah, although my conspiracy theory is that it's a bit deliberate, because that's the telemetry they need, isn't it? A phone is very different from a PC, but I'm sure it's not the case. But it would certainly be better for them to have everyone upgrading from Windows Phone 8.1, which is what the other 99 Windows Phone owners will be doing in a few months' time.
99, yeah. Well, there's me and you, so Gary. Yeah, so
actually, given that Windows, and this is a very stupid statement, given that I know my father-in-law's got a Windows Phone, he's definitely not a computer enthusiast like me, but given that Windows Phone is quite an enthusiast market, do you think there's any Windows Phone owners that aren't in the Insiders program?
I know 3. So,
I know 4.
I know a few as well.
Yeah, my kids haven't, and I know my dad and his wife have got one. So but the reason why, and this is this upgrade. I mean, I've been saying this every week now. The upgrade process on desktop is okay, apart from the issue with the blue screen that hasn't been addressed actually yet. Just to recap on that, then, that for anybody who can't remember, the build 105.65 which is actually quite a nice update. That's the desktop build. Won't install on some small tablets like the Lynx 7 and the Lynx 8, I believe, although it did install in my own Core 8. And in fact, if you remember last week on the show, I tested it by locking it into landscape mode and doing that, but that didn't work because when it goes into the boot and does the upgrade process, it puts it back in portrait modes and blue screens. So anyway, but aside from that, the Windows 10 upgrade build processes haven't been too bad, but on phone it's been very difficult. And like I said, since we recorded last week, so they announced 10549 for Windows 10 mobile, but you can't install that build and the one that they're going to be releasing today on a device running Windows 10 mobile. So how do you then install it if you can't do it? And you're a Windows insider, you've got Windows 10 mobile. How can you get this new build?
The only way to do that is to flash back to Windows Phone 8.1. Although they have said that they would be, you could quite easily just stick with Windows 10 mobile and eventually they would have a build that would be upgradable. But us Windows insiders are like, I mean, I'm not running on my phone, but if I was, I'd be quite eager to flash back, I think, and and try out the latest build, particularly since from what I saw, people that did that actually said it seemed to be quite a good stable build, although I did also see that probably the majority of people kind of flashed their phone back to Windows Phone 8.1, then upgraded to the Windows 10 mobile 10549 build, and then did another reset to kind of get everything really running happily.
Yes, this is exactly what I was going to bring up, actually. I did, so when they released the build last week, I put it back on Windows Phone 8.1 with the new version of the Windows Device Reset tool, or Windows Device Recovery tool, which is way faster than the old Nokia or the Lumia one. I don't know how many times you tried this. I've done it a few times now. And on the old build, you would wait nearly an hour and a half for it to download the image. And I know it's not a bandwidth. I've got plenty of bandwidth. It just took ages. But when I tried this the other night, it was like 20 minutes. And I thought, wow, I thought something had gone wrong because it was so quick, but it did work fine. So this recovery tool is a lot faster. But so I did that, recovered back to 8.1, installed the insider build, I did the video review, and then afterwards I had a couple of issues. So I thought I'll just reset it, and it makes a big difference. Actually, it looks so much better. The upgrade process works okay, but it doesn't look. I can't really explain it. It's probably it doesn't look right until you reset it completely and you get the default tile layout and the tile styles and the background styles and everything comes into place then, and it looks a lot better.
Yeah, that's certainly what I've seen people reporting, and we've said time and time again, haven't we, that the upgrade experience still just isn't quite right. And so it's, in some ways, I think it's interesting, conspiracy theories aside, that they are still focusing on, rather than fixing the upgrade bug, they're kind of focusing on the majority of people's scenarios, that people are going to be upgrading from Windows Phone 8.1, and it's that experience that needs to be right, not upgrades from a previous insider build.
Yeah.
And it's in some ways, I appreciate it's frustrating, and I know you put a lot of time into kind of rolling back and testing these builds and blogging about them, but I do see people kind of complaining. I think, well, if you'd actually really spent the time to read the small print about joining the Insiders program, it did say, even with Windows 10 for desktops and PCs, by joining the program, you must expect that there may be instances where you have to wipe and you might have to revert back to your original operating system. You need, and you agree not to install it on a production machine that you rely on day to day. So
I have no issues with that.
No, I know you don't know, but I have seen people complaining about it. You just feel like, well, get out the program.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly why I got the 630, is because I don't want to go through all these reset every 5 minutes. But with the 630, I'm happy to do that with, as long as my 1520 carries on operating normally, then that's fine. And even when I do go onto when I upgrade the 1520 with the final build, I probably will do that reset anyway, because you will get it. But it's like doing a clean install. Funny, on PCs, it's kind of gone away from that. You don't really have to do clean installs now, do you? But on phones, it seems to be the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with phones is that, we talk about the varied, number of Windows PCs configurations, and phones are very personal, aren't they? You know, everyone has their own apps within the constraints of the Windows Phone ecosystem. People possibly have music and pictures, and particularly with the PureView cameras, where they store not only the kind of shareable 5 megapixel but also the 20 megapixel version of the pictures. So there's an awful lot of data to migrate.
I tell you what, the install process took a long while. I left it, I think it I did that reset that I was talking about. I think that was about 9 p.m. and then it found the new build, which was good because it doesn't always, but it did this time. It did the download, which took well over an hour, and then it does a schedule to restart. And I think that took nearly 2 hours then from that restart to actually being available to use. Like I said, then I recorded the video, and I wish I'd just done the reset straight away. But anyway, I did that.
Yeah, but that's presumably on a phone that's got very little data on it.
It's more or less clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was clean because it was on. I just done a reinstall of Windows 8 phone.
I wonder if so if you got a micro SD card in yours?
I have, but there's no card in it at the moment.
Got you. Because I know there was talk about, because those devices have got quite a small amount of RAM, haven't they?
Yeah.
And also quite a limited storage. And there was always talk about the partition stitching and everything, wasn't there? So I wonder if that's part of the slowness on that particular device, because they are pretty low end. While Windows Phone is a good experience, they're still quite low end devices.
Yeah, they are, and I found this build actually to be a bit sluggish, especially Edge, anything around Edge, and I think it's running out of memory. It seems to be, and so I think those low end phones are going to struggle, I think.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, they've already said, haven't they, that really the initial wave is only going to be the high end devices like the 930, the 830. I think was it the 1520? I think as well.
Yeah,
but that's on the list. Yeah.
I think the 630 was on there, wasn't it? I'm trying to remember now.
I think it was actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, I think well, if you go on the Insider program, you'll be able to get it anywhere. And I guess what you could do if you're not offered the build, you could go onto the Insider program and then switch it back to the slow ring once you've got the RTM.
Yeah. It's so have you, because there were some issues, weren't there, apparently with background Cortana, maybe running the battery down quite quickly. I'm trying to remember exactly what the issues were now. I've
got the Microsoft post here. So this is what's new. It was Cortana for Australia and in Canada for English, not French Canadian. Improvements to the messaging app, so the text box expands, which makes sense. Diverse emojis, so you can choose the color of your emoji, and you can. My favorite color is the not very healthy gray color, and so those were the changes. So really, no new features. But the fixes included the camera app no longer crashes with certain applications. They fixed an issue with the keyboard. The touch keyboard would get dismissed. They fixed some swiping issues and some messaging issues and some app launching. And they've added in background, vibrate alarms and call blocking. So really nothing major in this, but it actually felt like a bit of improvement. It was quite stable. I just found Edge slow, but there are some issues apart from the one we talked about where you're upgrading. You also, if you are missing some apps after the installation, the only thing to do is to reset your phone. And I did see this in one of the earlier builds as well. So it looks like if on some phones it falls over during the migration process and you've got to do reset. And I think you've got to uninstall and reinstall Skype for Business. So not too many issues with that, but certainly not a huge incentive to upgrade. If you were add your Windows 10 previous build working quite nicely, I thought if you would, I would have recommended leaving until next week and just do the upgrade then.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that upgrade process, they really need to nail that. I think that potentially the first build that comes along where there aren't wide upgrade issues, I think I'd be quite tempted to make that leap.
They are saying they've got that, aren't they? I mean, in the like that Twitter post when he put the vote up, he mentioned that there was a build which they've got which fixes that, or at least it's fixed after a certain build number.
Yeah.
Obviously, this one hasn't got it, so I suspect it'll be a couple of weeks and we'll actually have that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he says so 105.7.2 is the build they're releasing this evening with the upgrade issue. So you'll have to flash back to 8.1. And then these predicting 105.7.5 for maybe possibly next Tuesday, but I think I'd kind of caution that they've had a build before where they thought they'd be able to release it and then had to back off it. So I would take that, under advisement that it might not necessarily hit next week. There might be a last minute showstopper bug, but yeah, potentially there could be an upgradable build next week,
which would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And it's a lot of interest on it because the videos that I've posted of looking at the builds of the viewing is probably 2 or 3 times what the desktop builds. So people are looking for that. Maybe it's because of the builds that people are less likely to try it and want to just watch somebody else go through the pain than the desktops. But anyway, it certainly is generating the views more than the desktop build videos.
Yeah, I think that's where the interest is at the moment, isn't it? Although the desktop builds are slowly eking along towards the Threshold 2 release, which I think is during November. I think the interest is really around the Windows 10 Mobile, and in particular, I think the Lumia 950 and Lumia 950 XL seem to have generated quite a bit of buzz as well.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on Windows 10 Mobile, I don't know if you saw the question I had from a listener.
I did, yes.
So this guy, Jake WS, as he calls himself, and he's got this question, which Ian may know or may not know. Is Windows 10 any better at handling Bluetooth audio for navigation, or is it still cutting off like phone 8.1? It's useless at the moment. I don't know if you've come across this problem using Bluetooth.
No, I haven't, because I have my phone, my 1520 on Bluetooth in the car. So the 630, I've never paired it up because I use.
So on when you're using the car, because this was something which came in with phone 8.1, they changed the profile that's used for navigation talking, so navigation voice. So it now uses the hands-free, or not the voice protocol rather than the music protocol, effectively. And a lot of people complain about that because a lot of head units take an age to switch over to the new source. So
my car does.
So most I get this as well. You get the first part of the voice chopped off and the last part of the voice chopped off. And a lot of people over the time have actually asked if it's possible to have a switch to go back to the way it was before 8.1, because that works quite well for a lot of people. I mean, I know why Microsoft did this is because by having it on the headset protocol, or I can't remember what the name of the one which is beyond the headset protocol, but basically a hands-free protocol. It will chop off whatever you're playing on your radio and switch over to it. Whereas if you do it on the music protocol, it doesn't do that. You have to be on the music protocol to get it playing. But with a lot of these car dash type programs, you can play music in the background when you're navigating from your phone. So maybe or like me, I listen to podcasts. So for me, it worked really well to have the navigation voice on that same feed, or even have the option to have the navigation voice going not on Bluetooth. So if you look at Android and iPhone, they both offer the option when you're playing something on Bluetooth, you can switch it back to being on the actual speakers of the unit as well. And you can do that on a phone call, but you can't do it on navigation on Windows Phone.
There is in Bluetooth settings on Windows Phone 8.1, there is a option, isn't there, to use if you have problems with audio. And that uses the headset protocol, which is the one prior to this new advanced. So it's slightly less quality, but it still doesn't get around this problem because it's still triggering over to headset problem. Yeah,
there's no way of switching it over to. My brain's gone dead on the different protocols, but it's the one which is basically for
Is it AD2P or something?
That's the one. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
And you've got when you pair something on Bluetooth that way, it comes up and says it's on music. Whereas the other one says headset or voice. So there's two distinct ones, voice and headset. And the headset's the older one and voice is the newer one. But we haven't got the ability, like most of the other things, is when we're playing something to say, I don't want to play it on, at least on navigation voices, we can't turn off the fact it goes to Bluetooth. And I think there's a lot of people wondering if Windows 10 changes that, because I think Windows 10 itself has got a different Bluetooth stack. So it'd be interesting to see.
Are you able to look in see if it's actually there is any switches extra
I
options in
can't
the Bluetooth
because
settings?
it's just doing Windows 8.1 install.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, next, I mean, so maybe we can come back to this next week, and
Yeah.
Ian can have a check to see what the Bluetooth profiles are in there, and whether it does how it does the navigation.
Yeah.
It's an easy
Yeah.
check to see.
I must admit, I never use voice navigation, so even on Windows Phone 8.1, it's never a problem really. I do have both sets, like you said. So if I'm listening to music and then a call comes in, it switches from the music protocol to the headset protocol.
Yeah, I know. So when I'm using, my car, it's got Bluetooth connectivity in it, but it doesn't have the audio. So I actually have to, either when it syncs to the car, switch off the AD2P protocol in the car, so the phone then plays the kind of audio tracks. But yeah, whenever I'm using navigation, it my Bluetooth set in the car thinks a call's coming in every time it does that navigation.
Yeah, and that's what they changed. So they changed that over from 8.1. And I know that if you look on the forums, there's a lot of discussion about this on when 8.1 came out. People were up in arms about it because it was making navigation not really usable if you had Bluetooth on.
Yeah, especially if you're in an area that you don't know.
Yeah,
you missing off that second or two can be quite critical.
And a lot of people turn Bluetooth off, but then of course that means you haven't got the ability to have hands-free, or have a separate navigation phone. I wish I could.
Yes.
Ian could do. But I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, I tested this on because of phone 8.1 today in my new car, and it just said I was coming up to a roundabout, and it said about to. That was it. So I still have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing at about to, but
I don't even like I said, I don't really use audio navigation very often, but when I have used it, I've not had any issues. And that's using phone 1, so my car must handle it. I think it fades the music out, if I remember right. It fades the music down and plays the message.
Yeah, and some phone cars work better than others. So there are certainly people say, "Oh, I have no problem with this at all," and it was brought in because of older cars which didn't have the latest protocol. So that's why they partly why they did it. But I think it's different to how iOS and Android work. I mean, Android and iOS both do this, but some versions of Android are actually worse than Windows Phone are doing this. So it's probably, but at least you've got control on both of those platforms as to whether you want it to go that way or not.
Well, I'll give it a test. I'll get the new build on, and then I'll pair it up and give it a try.
Well, but what I'd particularly like to be able to do is and I think this is what Jake from me was saying to me on a couple of chats would like to do is actually have the navigation sound coming out of the phone.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
loud enough so it doesn't, but still have the ability to be hand-free paired to the microphone in his car. Anyway, give it a go, Ian. Let us know.
Yeah, I'll give that a try.
Your mission, should you decide to accept it.
Yeah. So we'll give that a try, and we'll see what new features we get in the new build as well. It should be interesting. So I should have that on for next week's show.
Brilliant.
Now, so that's Windows 10 mobile. So we're still so we'll wait on that build. On the desktop side of things, I've found this has been pretty good actually. This new build, aside from that issue. What do you think of the new messaging apps?
Well, I said I was using it last week, so it still works. It'd be nice if a nice background audio did work when you minimise it, because I just managed to cut you all off again. But no, that seems to work well.
It does. The kind of the interface and the experience seems a bit doesn't seem very fluid at the moment. It's difficult to know when you're going to click someone. A few times when I was playing around with the calling app, I clicked a name and it just instantly started calling. There's a lot of things like that. And the sort of things I've got quite a few Skype contacts who aren't in the contact list, which seems a bit weird. So I think there's a few glitches at the moment, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Yeah, I still also find it really confusing. Like, for example, obviously I've got you, Ian, and you, Gary. I've got old Messenger style contacts, which is now called a Skype contact or Skype communication. And then also I've got your actual Windows Live Skype account. And so I just wish they'd kind of get rid of one of them. Or at least have a way to see them as the same and kind of choose whether or not I want the priority to be Skype or Messenger, because no one, particularly running Windows 10, is really like to have Messenger installed anymore. And in fact, I think it even stopped working, didn't it?
Yes,
it did. Yeah.
So it just seems a bit, why not just merge those two accounts into one?
Would make sense.
And one thing I did notice though is that it when I signed in, it does almost kind of give some level of inference that you now have a Skype account, particularly I guess for people that have maybe had Messenger accounts without realizing it and maybe sign into that application for the first time.
Yeah, so it's merging the accounts is something they did start doing at one point and then seemed to back away from. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there. There may be a reason for it, but it would be nice.
And did you notice that you can actually, I don't know, this is a deliberate action, but you can install the Skype video messaging app on the RTM build now.
Yeah,
I've not mentioned it, but the link's out there and you can install it. And I tried it and it does seem a bit hit and miss, I've got to say.
I think it'd be fairly flaky because they actually built things into the operating system to support it. So, at least that's what I heard, anyways.
Yeah. Although it did seem to, I did get at one stage I had the notifications coming through, and then they stopped again. But yeah, I was trying it with a couple of devices, and it was quite funny when I was trying to. I did a video walkthrough, and it must took me about an hour to get it working because I was ringing. I was using a test Skype account to call the tablet. And it wouldn't ring, and then okay, I'll get my iPad out, I'll try it from there, and that wouldn't ring, and then I rebooted that. Yeah, right, that's ringing now, but it's not answering, and it just took me ages. And eventually got there last week because I think I mentioned on the show last week that the audio wasn't working on Core 8, which I got working. Did I mention about the blue screening of it? Blue screening? I don't think.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
It stopped doing that now, but once it did that over the weekend, and I think it's to do with this build. There's something in this build it doesn't like, but you've got to basically go into safe mode, uninstall a graphic driver, and it sorts it out. But it did like on Saturday afternoon for no reason, and then it got stuck in that blue screen until it did so. So it's like it's trying to update something in the background. But other than that, I think this build has been pretty good. The Edge synchronization of accounts of bookmarks seems to work quite well. I'm reading lists, so it'd just be nice to get that across all the devices now. But I wouldn't be so brave as to put this build on my production machine.
No, you'd be stupid enough to do that. Yeah, I have to say on last week's show I wasn't going to upgrade my Surface. I decided to take the jump primarily because I've seen such good reports, and I know Richard Hayes was talking about he was tempted to put it on his Spectre. And so I decided to do the upgrade. And I have to say that so far the experience has been really good. I found it much better coming out of sleep. So I was finding that on the kind of RTM build, even with all the cumulative updates installed, whenever it came out of sleep, I always had to close down any running modern apps to actually get them working again. But I haven't had that issue on 105.65. Overall, it just seems a lot more stable. And obviously, I've got access to the Skype apps, and then you got them on the RTM build. But so I got to play around with those, which was quite interesting. But the main thing I like is the main thing that kind of tempted me into doing was having that 4 medium tiles per column. Because it just meant I've really been able to get my start menu layout exactly how I want it. So far I've been really, really pleased. And also the other thing that tempted me into doing it as well was the fact that obviously being on the Insider preview builds, you get early access to the new mail and calendar apps. And just those little improvements that have been coming with those, it's been nice to kind of, I think there was an update today, which it's difficult to know now whether or not that was for everybody or just for insiders, but it seems to be slowly improving much more. It's always been a bit of a mess, but it just starting to, I haven't seen that account settings check on my Outlook account, but it does still keep popping up on the Office 365 account.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've not
it's-
seen
it's-
that for a bit.
It's definitely getting better. Talk about updates. I've just had an update for Twitter, which looks quite interesting. the standard Twitter app, the official one.
Oh yes, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's added the ability to have all your settings, which you used to have to go onto the web to do, which is quite nice. And I have to say, it's quite a nice layout for the settings. I mean, I'm not a great fan of that because I still don't like the way they use screen real estate, but nice to see them starting to add real features into it.
Yeah, actually update it.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, talking of updates, the other thing that being on the Insider Builder gives me access to is the latest Groove Music app with the gapless audio playback.
Oh yeah, we should mention that while we're talking about.
Yeah,
which for when you've got kind of compilation albums that maybe with the songs mixed into one another, or I know there's certain I think kind of some of the oh gosh, the names escape me now, but like Deep Purple and
Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's people have been asking that for quite a while from judging by the reactions on Twitter.
Yeah, and this is only on mobile though, isn't it? I think.
Yes, I think so. I'm surprised by that because it's the same underlying audio thing.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's actually it's only on the mobile 8.1 version, isn't it?
Or was it on 10? It's only on the 10.
10. Sorry, it's on the 10 one. That's what I meant to say. Mobile 10 one. Yeah, so it's not on the 8.1 version. It's what I meant to say. Yeah.
I'm really pleased about it. I'll tell you one of the reasons why, in talking about Bluetooth and car kits, the way that the Bluetooth works in my car is there's a little click when it prepares to do the audio, and the click when it's finished. So if you play a song, you'll hear a little click before the song starts, and then it stops, and it'll click, and then it click for the next song. And it's not a problem, but it's just a bit annoying, especially when you've got something that flows nicely like Dark Side of the Moon, where they're meant to go from one to the other. And I tested it out, and I didn't try it in my car, but I tried it with the headphones on, and it's perfect gapless playback. So yeah, I mean, this is something that I think. I don't even think I think the Zune used to have it as an option. I'm pretty sure that it used to be a little tick box you could have. If not, it was on it may be something else like on Google Music or something. But I've had that option. I've seen it before. But yeah, it's really missed. So I'm glad they've added that back in. I know it's only a little thing, but it's really annoying on Dark Side of the Moon, especially when it starts and it builds up before the first track from the intro track, and it just stops, and then you got the gap. And I'm sure, and any dance mixes and things like that flow from one to another, it's kind of annoying. So yeah, it's good to see them address that. I hope they keep going with the music app and just keep developing it, because it needs these little bits and pieces.
Well, they've got a full team on it, and so I think it's going to carry on working, and it is getting better. There's no doubt about it. It's getting better.
Do keep adding things in there because they're not always up to date with the release notes. So I noticed been doing all the proofing for the book that some of the menus have changed, and they're adding extra options in all the time. Sort of sneaking them in every now and again. You see, I'm sure that wasn't there before.
And at least we now can look back in our versions of our book and say, yeah, it wasn't there before.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let's get another screenshot.
Yeah, don't get any more screenshots.
And I'll tell you what they do need to do as well is for copy editors all over the world, they need to sort out the consistency of the naming and the capitalization of all their products. Because this poor bloke doing the copy editing, I think he's driving crazy. Is it Groove? Is it Groove Music? Is it Groove capital G capital M for music? Is it Groove with a lowercase m for music? It seems Microsoft can write it 100 different ways.
Yeah. What I love is it's the Groove app. It's the Groove Music Pass, not the Groove Pass.
Yeah. And
it's the Groove Music Service.
Yeah.
But it's also the Groove, which is part of Groove Services.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I went through and just called everything Groove or Groove Music Pass, and that's the end of it. But even the menu options is the same thing. The different. I'd say we noticed else as well is Home Group. How many different ways of writing Home Group? Yeah,
I know. That's amazing. I mean,
Microsoft call it Home Group capital H, Home Group capital H capital G without a space between them. They have it with both capitalized with a space. They have them both lowercase, and they have them with and without a space. So every combination is in Windows 10.
Yep. Yeah. There's even one place where it's lowercase h and uppercase G.
So I think they need someone some copy editor to go through and sort that out for them.
Yeah.
But anyway, I like the Groove Music. I like that, and that's one of the things I'd like to get Windows. That little thing I would is one of the things I'd like to get Windows 10 mobile on my 1520 for that very reason.
Yeah.
The other Windows 10 related news I've had this week, I don't know if you received the same, but I had an email from Xbox announcing the new Xbox One experience coming later this year. So they're clearly gearing up and starting to give people advance notice. And
I've got the new dashboard.
Yes, I opted in the end. My kids are getting a bit frustrated because it keeps crashing. But
so far, it's not been too bad. All I really use mine for is Netflix and Forza Motorsport 6.
Yeah.
So if they keep working, I'm okay.
So my kids were finding, I think they were playing Minecraft at the weekend, and literally the Xbox just switched off right in the middle of their game. So they weren't too impressed. But
they wouldn't be.
No, but I like what I see so far. It's
quite nice.
I've noticed it kind of slows down occasionally. Clearly, there's still got some optimization to do, but overall, I've been quite pleased with the whole experience. I think I wasn't too sure when I saw some of the early videos, but overall, I think I like the new interface.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, talking of Windows 10, we had an email in that which was pretty good, from Jeff Skidmore. So thanks for Jeff sending it. So he says, Ian, Gary and Jason, thanks for sharing your knowledge, and thanks for answering my previous email concerning backing up and performing fresh installs of Windows 10. As a visually impaired person, Windows 10 has great accessibility features. However, I cannot figure out how to open a folder, Windows Explorer, in a particular location on the screen each time. Any ideas where the setting to accomplish this is, or if it exists? When I say particular location, I'm referring to the screen. If I open Explorer window, it always opens the folder on the far left of my screen. I need it to open on the far right of the screen at the top. And suggestions. And thanks always, gents. Keep up the excellent work. Well, thanks, Jeff. We do appreciate you sending the email. And I can imagine that it's a bit confusing because the window does seem almost random. And I think it goes top left and then gradually moves down, doesn't it, each time you launch it? But Jason, did you think you had a bit of a solution for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a historical thing, isn't it, with Windows that, going back to Windows 95, that Windows always seem to open up either in random places or, like you said, just gradually, slowly shifting kind of down and right across the screen. But the only thing I had was to use the Windows snap shortcuts. So when he opens up Windows Explorer, or File Explorer, sorry, now as it's called, would be to hold down the Windows key and then press the right arrow, which would dock it to the right-hand side of the screen. Or you could even do the hold down Windows key and press right and then up, which would dock it in the upper right side of the screen. Obviously, if you've got multiple monitors, you need to be careful because if you press it twice, it would actually switch over screens. If you did Windows key and right, or I think it's even Windows key and shift, is it? I think switches there, or is it control? Let me just try that.
I've just tried Windows key right and up. That works pretty well, actually.
Yeah, so actually it's Windows key and shift that will actually switch it directly to another monitor. But yeah, that's all I had. So Windows key and then use the cursor arrow keys on the keyboard to then dock it to the right or to the right upper, or even you could do right and down. That would dock it to that part. But I don't know of any other way. I mean, I don't know if there's some kind of PowerShell script you could run that would actually open up File Explorer and then set its Windows coordinates. I'm sure there must be some way to do that programmatically, but
yeah, definitely. So I definitely could do it in a program, but
yeah,
I don't know no one that does that. Because it should make clear here that this is when we talk about opening a new instance of what File Explorer. Because if you start File Explorer, move it to the top right, close it, and reopen it, it will actually go to the top right again. Certainly in the latest build of Windows 10, I didn't think it did that actually in the very early builds.
In this RTM, it doesn't.
Yeah, so in the preview builds, if you close the File Explorer and reopen it, unless you reboot, it will appear on the top right. So you've got at least that. I mean, sorry, it won't appear right at the top right. It'll appear where you last had that window, which I think is the actual old Windows behaviour that file export windows used to appear where they were closed. But if you open a new window, that always goes that top left and a bit, or
you're actually spot on there, Gary. It does. I've just got it on this running the inside a preview build, and it opens to where you previously had it.
Yeah.
Whereas on the Surface, on the RTM, it opens in its own choice.
Yeah, and if you open a new window, if it's got room to the right and bottom of the existing window, it'll put it there. If not, it'll put it top left. So it's improved, but it's still not right because it doesn't work if you restart the system, which I tried, because it'll go back to that top left position. So it'd be nice if there was a way of doing that. I was wondering if you actually created a shortcut, maybe you could actually position it. But I haven't tried that yet, so that was the next thing I was going to try. But because my initial thoughts were exactly the same as Jason's, I thought the shortcut keys would be the way to go.
I think that's a nice, predictable way, isn't it? That it's always going to be in the same location that way.
Yeah. And then of course you can close it and reopen it, and it would work.
Yeah, but I think for sort of readability, and when you've got it in accessibility mode, is something that should be taken into account of. Maybe that's why it is in that new build where it opens where you previously closed it from, and that makes it again predictable to where you had it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope those help, Jeff. Let us know if you got any more questions, or if anybody else has got any suggestions on that. Let us know, and we'll update you on the show. Actually, I got a pet gripe as well, and I know Jason thought I was moaning for no reason, I think, on Twitter. With this new build, when you click, and this is in tablet mode, although it does it in both, but I use this Encore in tablet mode. When you click the Edge icon on the start menu, it opens a new window completely, not a new tab or the current instance. It actually launches a brand new instance. And it's really annoying because on a tablet, you just generally, I hit the Windows key, and then if I'm in whatever I'm in, TweetDeck or whatever, Tweetium, I hit the Windows key and back in the start screen. I want to go back to Edge. I just tap the Edge, and I end up with a slight delay. It opens another, and then of course when I look, I've got like 10 separate windows open, and I thought Edge was all about tab browsing, and this is all about new windows. And what Jason quite rightly said is, just use the tab switcher, which you can swipe in and do it, which of course works fine, or you can use the button at the bottom. But I just thought it's an odd behavior. It doesn't do that on the RTM build or any previous builds.
It does seem odd. I mean, I've having loads of problems with Edge not shutting on me. I don't know what happens, but I get to the point where I can't close Edge without going to Task Manager and killing it.
Yes, I have that. In fact, on my desktop machine at work on the RTM build, if I lock the machine, and when I unlock it, it's killed Edge, and I've got to end tasking.
Yeah.
I don't know what causes that, but it was fine on the previous build. It's just on this current build now. I hope that's not the default behavior. Just I find it annoying because I thought it shouldn't do that. It should just hit start. It should just and press Edge. It should just bring it back up again. But
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. There's no option, is there? There's no setting or anything that I could see to do it. There's not like a. The old days when you had a shortcut, it was like Windows, Internet Explorer.exe/s or whatever to open a new window. It's not like that anymore with modern stuff. So I hope that's just a bug, and they'll fix that for the next build. I wonder when we'll get a new desktop build. Actually, that'd be quite good. I'd like to get one that fixes I'd like to get this on my Encore, on my Lynx 7 actually. So one would fix that blue screen bug.
Nice, that'd be cool.
In fact, my Lenovo ended up in a blue screen cycle with the exact same thing. It was the NVIDIA driver causing the problem, and that was just random. It's not an insider build. It just started to do it. And actually, what I did in the end was I disabled the NVIDIA graphics chip and just let it use the onboard Intel one, because I don't do any heavy graphics programming. It's just Visual Studio. So, but annoying that it got stuck in sort of that loop just in the middle of the day, for it blue screened, and then it wouldn't come back on then. But I think it's a bit like what you said last week, Gary, about drivers, bit more critical this time, it seems.
Yeah, I think so. It's slightly worrying.
They must be getting quite close to release version, I would have thought, if they're planning on shipping this in November.
Yes, I think so. I think they must be getting very close to it now, and I think we've seen the synchronization in Edge, and I think that's it, isn't it? We're gonna. I don't think we're going to see many new features now.
No, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll save those for the next build. Beyond Threshold, which was muted. There was a name muted for that one. I've forgotten what it was.
Redstone.
Redstone, that's it. Yeah, I like that name.
It's from Minecraft, yeah.
Yeah. I heard, I think Mary Jo Foley was talking about it. She said she'd heard from her sources that this was actually going to be about Redstone was going to be less about features and more kind of geared towards improving processes. So I'm hopeful that this will be a switch to a kind of more servicing model as opposed to a full build. Because I do think it's going to be, I know we've talked about it before, I know people are used to on an iPad, downloading and installing a brand new build, but it's not, unless it's a significant update, it's normally just a servicing release, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think I do wonder about, people having only just gone through what for them could be a massive upgrade process and then have to do the same again in just 3-4 months later.
Yeah, and as previously mentioned, I've had, of the 3 machines that I've got the insider preview on, I've had driver issues on all 3, and I've had to swap drivers and manually right click and update driver or disable driver, and that's 3 out of 3. So that's it's a bit worrying, that considering they're on 10 already. So when Threshold 2 comes out, that's the last thing that they need is major driver issues, and things like Intel graphics chips and Broadcom drivers, just off the shelf parts that nothing's particularly complex, but it was fine on RTM. So yes, I think they've got to be, they've got to keep that reliability, haven't they? Because I think Windows 10 is doing very well with him. It's not got the negative connotations that Windows 8 had and Windows Vista had. So they've got to make sure that any upgrade process keeps that good faith and doesn't sort of destroy the work that they've done.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, that they really can't afford for it to get that public image that Vista had, rightly or wrongly. I think some ways it didn't deserve it overall. But I mean, Windows Vista, Windows 8, once that image has been tarnished, it's very difficult to regain that trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly not upgrading people when they weren't expecting it.
Yeah, there was a few people, wasn't there, that happened to.
Yeah, although it didn't actually, I mean, you still had to accept the upgrade, but it was certainly, unfortunately, due to a mistake, it was checked by default in Windows Update, even though it was an optional update, which are normally unticked, it did get ticked. But even then, you would have still been prompted, the fact this is going to upgrade you to Windows 10. Are you sure you want to proceed?
Yeah. And I still see lots of Windows 7 machines, out when I'm out and about with the little flag in the corner, telling them that there's a new build, the new build's available, and it's just been ignored.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw today, but Microsoft announced an official, for businesses at least, anyway, an official upgrade program, a trade-in program, which is for Surfaces or laptops to basically give you a credit, store credit against a Surface Pro 4.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Is that UK or US only? Is it? Or?
It's US, a few countries in Europe, but UK to follow shortly.
Right.
So they've still got some logistics stuff, but yeah, pretty much you go. Like I say, it is only for businesses. It's not really a consumer orientated program, but for small businesses that for mine, for example, where I bought a Surface Pro 3, it would give me opportunity to upgrade or to trade it in. And I had a quick look at the process. It's literally as simple as going to a website. You tell them what you've got. They offer you a price. And if you accept it, they send you the box and shipping labels. You box up your device, send it in. They then add a credit to your account, which you can then use against a Surface Pro 4. So it certainly seemed to be a very, trouble-free, quite a simple process.
Oh yeah, there's a post on it on the Windows blog. I'll link to that in the show notes. Yeah, that seems a good idea because they're doing the band trading now as well, aren't they? Which £70 for.
Yes.
I know we talked about it last week, but it's on the Microsoft Store site now.
Is that for one that's not faulty though, Ian?
Well, I've got sad news. I am bandless.
I saw your picture. That's because Richard Hayes had very similar problems, hasn't he? Where it just comes away.
Yeah, it's just come away. I knew it was weak because I saw it split a few weeks ago, probably a couple of months ago actually. So I put a bit of tape on it to try and strengthen it. But I noticed today when I looked, I could see the light through the gap, and it stopped. And it must have damaged the wiring because that's where the heart rate sensor is, and it wasn't picking it up. So I've ordered a band too, but that's not due till November the 12th.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, yeah, I'll pay for this thing. So, but I did get mine imported anyway. But I checked on Microsoft support website for the band, and they had already got my serial number registered. So very efficiently done that. So I could I've shipped it back. So they've done they do a UPS thing where they give you the labels, and I just dropped it off. But because if you do trade it in, you get £70 back.
Yes, which is a pretty good deal.
Yeah, but so I suspect what I'll do is I'll end up with a brand new first gen band back, which would be quite nice because my band was pretty beaten up, but the quality of the build quality, that is an issue with the first gen band, and I know that on the second gen band they've got the Gorilla Glass, so you don't need the screen protector on it, which is good because mine got scratched very quickly. But the whole quality of the where the metal clasp is stuck to the rubber band is what the problem was, and apparently that's been addressed in this one, so the new one. So we'll see. But so I should end up with a brand new first gen band, and possibly a couple of weeks later a second gen band. So I'll decide then whether I trade it in or whether it goes on my shelf behind me over there, along with the first gen Surface, my HTC. What is it? What was this HTC? I forgot which it was now. The Windows Phone 7 one anyway. 7 was it? HTC 7X or something like that. And my Zune HD. The shelf of history. MC Micro on there as well.
Yeah. Just before, while we're on that, not on that subject, but just going quick back to Windows 10, something I meant to mention earlier. There was a OneDrive update or something came out, and earlier today, and I lost my OneDrive sign in. It didn't tell me it had gone away, so I wasn't getting anything synced. So just a warning to people to look out for that. I've had
that exact issue on 2 or 3 machines out of my 8 that have got OneDrive on them.
Yeah.
So basically what happens is it just goes to the little cross, I think, but you don't notice it because it's hidden.
And it does seem to be related to some sort of update coming out, but it was an update within Windows Update for the Insider preview.
Right.
I think I may have got that wrong, but it seemed to be related to that.
This happened to me on the Surface Pro, which isn't on the Insider program, and it just didn't sync. And then you go through the process and you start again, basically.
Yeah.
So did you have? Is that what you had? You had to basically reset up all the
reset
phones.
Up basically everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that
which
on
is a right pain.
3 devices. Yeah, you have to think. Well, what did I want syncing on this one?
Yeah.
Since we've lost placeholders, I had the exact same thing on 3 devices, and I thought it was something I'd done because 2 devices happen very close. And I thought, mate, I must have done something with the OneDrive setup, but then I've heard other people have had the same issue.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's an update. I think it was a fault on Microsoft server.
Okay, so it may have been just a coincidence the update came out at the same time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, question for you both. Not suggesting that you would buy one, but if you were making the choice now, what would you go? Surface Book or Surface Pro 4?
Horses for courses. for development video editing box, no doubt about it. I'd go Surface Book because I think that's the ultimate. But for anything else, I mean, even for development, I'd probably still Surface Pro 4 would work. I just think the extra video power would be really useful. But it's basically that's your key thing. It's how much power you want to be able to do, how much video. I mean, the main thing it does well is shift stuff around the screen really, really well, especially for 3D bits and pieces. So,
now, for me, I think like Gary said, it's really much depending on what you're doing. But I've always liked the portability of the Surface range, and that's why I sit on the sofa with mine, I'm up here on the desk. But when I do my day job, I have a 17-inch Lenovo laptop, which does the heavy lifting. So that's got, you know, all my Active Directory tools and PowerShell and Visual Studio. So if I had one device, maybe I'd think about the Surface Book, but I still love the form factor of the Surface Pro. So I think I'd still go with the Surface Pro 4. I mean, in money no object, I think I'd just go for the top end Surface Pro 4, really. I mean, for the video editing that I do, for the little hands-on video, the Surface Pro 3 is a little bit underpowered, so it gets a bit tiresome when you're dragging and dropping video clips, and you know you drag it over, and then 4 seconds later it moves it and whatever. So if I was doing full-time video editing, I think that would get, you know, a bit annoying, but I only do the odd one, so it's not really that of a problem. So if that was a full-time job, then yeah, I'd probably want the book. But for my use, then this is probably ideal for me. For you, Jason, I would have thought that it's probably more towards the book, isn't it, with your sort of setup of VMs and everything?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'd still go for the Surface Pro 4 only because looking through the specs and reading kind of people that had a bit of hands-on time at the announcement, it does seem that the Surface Book is designed really to be used as a laptop, so you get very minimal battery life in using it in tablet mode. I think even Microsoft refer to it as a clipboard, don't they, rather than an actual kind of tablet. So I think for me, I think I'd probably still lean to the Surface Pro 4 just because I like that option of being able to use it as a tablet and kind of carry one device around. I think if I had the Surface Book, I think I'd probably still feel I needed a tablet with me as well, which is kind of what I was trying to get away from. But and particularly with the liquid cooling in the Surface Pro 4, I think that would solve my issues. And with the option of 16 gigabytes of RAM, I think that would be the decider for me. If the Surface Pro 4 still only had 8, but the Surface Book had 16, then that would be my deciding factor. But I think for me, I'd still swing towards the Surface Pro 4.
Yeah, I understand that. I do. It's just they've really hit on a good form factor. I love the Surface 2 for that even smaller form factor, but this 3 is a great compromise device, and just being able to carry that. I mean, I've got a bag that I use for the Surface when I'm sort of out and about, and it just fits the Surface in, and I can stick the phone in it if I want as well. And it's tiny, you know. It doesn't look like you're carrying a full laptop around with you. And as we said, you know, it's a full laptop and tablet. So yeah, I think they've hit on a great form factor, and it's funny that's now the that's the standard now, isn't it? That form factor. That's what all things are judged on.
Yeah, I think. I mean, for me, I think the Surface Pro 4 is a big step forward. I think I might have said on the show when I bought the Surface Pro 3, I felt it was the right time, that, you know, they'd evolved the product just enough. But actually, in hindsight, I do wish I'd waited that one extra generation. I think the Surface Pro 4, with that liquid cooling, with the option of 16 gigabytes of RAM, with the extra slight screen real estate, despite losing the Windows button on the side, the capacitive button, I think the Surface Pro 4 is definitely the device I'd want.
Yeah, well, you'll have to look at that training program.
Yeah, I will.
Get that traded in. A final couple of things I wanted to mention to wrap up. Just there's a couple of server builds out for media servers. MB server has got a new beta out that's got better support for GPUs and image editing and things like that. So if you want to check out MB server. And Kodi 15.2, there's one final version out 15.2 before they go to version 16. So they're a media server. I'm on either MB or Plex at the moment. I switch between those two, but they're working so well actually, especially with the Xbox One as a Plex client as well. So I've got got Netflix for anything streaming, and I've got Plex or MB for anything local, and the combination works really well. And of course, I've got OneDrive for all my music. So I feel I've really got the home thing that we wanted back in the day, aside from TV. Just TV is still a sticky issue. I mean, I've got the Skybox, so that just does the job. But I've almost got that complete setup. I mean, I suppose I could plug the Skybox into the Xbox, and that really would be everything in one. But
Just to mention also that Media Centre, J River Media Centre's got a new update out. Well, she said version 21's been out for a few weeks now in terms of stuff, and there's a few new features coming along in it, which look quite good. Actually, quite a lot around television, so that's another alternative now as a TV server.
Oh, right, yeah, I have to look at that, yeah.
So that's looking quite interesting. And they've also got a thing on on Kickstarter called the J River TV Plus, which is quite an interesting thing, and people can have a look at that to see what it's about. But it basically allows you to play encrypted content from the cable companies in the States. So that's certainly an interesting thing coming along. Because I'm not sure anybody else is doing that with Cable Card yet.
No, let's have a look at that. So I think that's all we've got time for this week. So next week we should be back with another build to play with.
Excellent.
As I wipe my phone for the 999th time. And hopefully, well, it'd be nice to think we have a new desktop, but there's no hints about that. So I suspect it'll be mobile only this week.
We'll have to wait and see. I think, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised maybe to see one sneak out towards the end of the week.
Be nice if they could surprises on there. So, Jace, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at DatabaseJace.
And Gary, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at GaryWA. There's a new issue of Fascinating Tech magazine coming out fairly shortly, fascinatingtech.com, where you can see me bouncing on a trampoline testing headphones.
That's definitely got to be worth watching.
Yeah.
I'm on my way over.
It's not there yet. It will be there soon. I'll let you know.
Please do. Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll be back next week, 9 p.m. Tuesday evening in the chat room. And who knows what we've got to play with. And you can send us email, ian@thedigitallifestyle.com, or through the contact page on the site. So until then, we'll see you next week.
Brilliant stuff. Take care.
Cheerio. Bye.